Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Chasing Rabbits. My name is Scott Brown, and you have found my vlog dedicated to helping you become the leader you always wished that you had worked for. Tonight, I want to talk about two little concepts that are very much intertwined. The first is the role of a leader, and the second is how that sometimes devolves. So first, the role of a leader. One of the primary functions of any leader, regardless of where they lead, is to help develop more leaders. Yes, one of the primary functions of all leaders is to help develop more leaders, future leaders. Because wherever it is that you have envisioned taking your tribe, taking your followers, at some point, your journey will be over. And if the journey was to be truly rewarding, then there needs to be somebody else to pick up the mantle from you and take the next step forward with your followers. You have to be willing at some point to cede control of the journey to somebody else. If you don't, that means that your journey was only finite. It was only to a specific point. And we all know that journeys as a whole continue, regardless of whether we are part of them or not. So one of the primary roles of any leader is to help develop more leaders, to ensure that that journey continues. But often when we become a leader, one of the things we get fascinated by isn't just where we're going, but it's how we are going to get there. So in our minds, we have created this image of where it is that we want to take our followers and why we want to take them there. But as you're forming that message, as we're forming that image within our own minds and communicating that to our followers, it is so very easy to get wrapped up in not just the where we're going and why we're going there, but also the how we are going to get there. And we can start to become consumed with that how. And when folks take a different path to the where, to us, they're doing it wrong. And these are the people that we refer to as micromanagers. Yes, I know that most of you have worked for some micromanager at some point throughout your life. They're the folks that stand over your shoulder, figuratively or literally, looking at everything that you do to make sure that you are doing the work the way that they think the work should be done. And it can take many forms. It can be the manager that insists that you have a meeting with them before the meeting and then a meeting with them after the meeting, so there's nothing that comes up that they're surprised about from the meeting. Instead of just allowing you to talk to your followers, to talk to your people, and go forward. They're the ones that want to control how that happens. They're also the ones that, so this happened to me at one point in my life, they're the ones that get so controlling they even want to control where you live. When we first moved back to Florida from California, I was a regional HR manager for a women's specialty clothing retailer. My boss at the time was so controlling and micromanaged everything I did to such an extent that she wrote me up because my wife and I bought a townhouse and moved without asking her permission first. You heard that right. She wanted to have us to ask her permission before we bought a house and moved for our life. It wasn't like we moved far away. We moved from one side of Orlando to the other side of Orlando. And I was officing from home, and I had updated all the information with the company. They knew where I was. But because I hadn't talked to her, that was a huge ordeal because I hadn't told her first. It's the same type of people that look at Slack on a regular basis to see how often somebody is online, even if somebody is on a phone call and not on Slack at the time, so they can't track those moments when they're online because they're having a phone conversation with somebody. They're the ones that want to micromanage that process. Micromanagement is the antithesis of leadership. It narrows the focus. When we as a leader fall into first the requirement of management and then of micromanagement on top of that, we are narrowing the focus of anyone who's following us. And part of what being a leader is to broaden the focus of those who are following us to allow them to ask, what if? If you're going to ask what if, you can't then control their answer if it's going to still get that person to wherever it is you're trying to go. What if allows for possibility. Micromanagement eliminates that possibility. So ask yourself this, because many who are leaders also have management positions. They are in a role that's a manager. Maybe they might be a store manager, they might be a regional manager, they might be a bank manager, they might be a construction manager, a project manager. Whatever it is they're doing, they probably have a management title within their role. But it doesn't mean that they can't be a leader also. But it does mean that they shouldn't be a micromanager of whatever it is they're doing. So ask yourself the question. If you have to be a manager along with being a leader, are you also a micromanager? And if you are focusing so minutely on the how, perhaps it's time to take a step back and ask yourself, is this focus going to help you develop more leaders for the future? Or are you going to just create the atmosphere where that follower is going to look for somebody else to follow? Because your best people will be the first ones that leave. They always are. So on that note, have a wonderful night tonight. I wish you all the best. Jeff Hastings, very nice to see you online. Wish I could be in Florida, but I'm not. I want you to all know, though, that management and leadership, while they are intertwined, they are always different. They require different skill sets. You don't have to be great at one to be great at the other, but neither of them require you to be a micromanager. So until tomorrow, I wish you the best. Toast on, my friends, and happy leading. Be well.